Well, here we are once again, and today we are going to continue with some of the exercises of the Regents Geometry August 2025 exam. And this time we are going to focus on the ones that have to do with formulas, Pythagoras, and so on. So for this first one here, we can see that they are telling us that we have a right triangle, JOE. So we can write or draw one triangle here, no? But we have a right angle. And then they tell us JO is the hypotenuse. So this one is going to be the longest side and also the one opposite from the right angle, no? So it's going to be here, 31.8. What else? Then the angle at J is 38 degrees. So here we have to be careful at the time of drawing. So they told us JO was this one, no? So we could decide J is here on top. Here is going to be O, therefore, no? And E is this one, no? And then the angle there is going to be 38, the one here, 38 degrees. And what else? To the nearest tenth, the length of EJ. EJ would be this side, no? So how can we find that? It's going to be using SOHCAHTOA. So, Ka and TOA. We need to know this formula, no? So what does this tell us? Sinus is going to be opposite divided by hypotenuse. Cosinus is adjacent divided by hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite divided by adjacent. In this case, we are looking for the adjacent and we have the hypotenuse. So the only one we could use will be the cosinus, no? And we have also the angle there. So we're going to be using that, no? We write cosinus of 38 degrees, which is already known, equals adjacent, which is not known. We can call it x also, no? Or, yeah, x just. And divided by the hypotenuse, which is 31.8. And now, in order to solve x here, well, it's fairly easy, no? It's just multiplying both sides by 31.8, no? So x is going to be equal to cosinus 38 times 31.8. And this we can write it on the calculator here. Just make sure that the calculator you have it in degrees, no, not in radians. Otherwise, you're gonna get it wrong. And this becomes 25.05, no? Which is directly, well, rounding, no, is 58. So you round up to the second answer. Very good. Let's go now with this next exercise here. It's gonna be around a circle where they tell us that this circle has center 2 minus 1, so it's here, the center, and the radius, well, we can find it, no? Yeah, by looking into this, no, really. So what happens? The radius of this circle, well, or just this way, no, is 5. And now we have to look into the different formulas. What happens? In the circle formula is always x minus x0 plus, well, square plus y minus y0 square also equal to the radius square. So the radius square means that if the radius is 5, it's gonna be 25. So we can already discard 2 of the answers, no? These ones we discard them. And now to choose between 1 and 3, we have to look into the center. The center coordinates are x0 and y0. In our case, is 2 minus 1. Therefore, you need to have a minus 2 here, no? So it's gonna be the first answer, basically. Let's go now with the third question here, and as we can see, they gave us a y-intercept equation, the equation of a line, a linear equation, and they tell us the new equation of another line has to be perpendicular to this one, h, and going through 0.61. So if it's perpendicular, first we need to find the slope of this one, which is going to be, the slope is 2/3. And then to be perpendicular to this slope, it has to be the opposite flip. So this means we are going to have a minus in front and flip the fraction. So it's going to be minus 3 halves, no? The new slope. So with that, we can already discard some of them. For example, yeah, these two, no? The first one and the second one, because both the number multiplying the x, no? We're going to have 2/3. So those will be parallel, not perpendicular. So now between 3 and 4, we need to use the point, because we know that the equation of a line is y equals the slope, which is minus 3 halves x, plus the y-intercept, you can call it c, for example. And now in order to find c, we are going to use the point they gave us, no? So we substitute x equal to 6 and y equal to 1. So it's going to be 1 equals minus 3 halves times 6 plus c. And with this, we find that, yeah, minus 3 times 6 is minus 18, divided by 2 is minus 9, 1 plus c. Therefore, c, it comes adding, so it becomes 10, no? So the full equation of our line is going to be this one. And now, if we check here, what can we see? We will be getting minus 3 halves. Yeah, minus 3 halves x times minus 6 is what? That's minus 9, no? So if we expand this one, for example, y would be equal to minus 3 halves x. Then you multiply that, you are getting minus 9, no? No, plus 9, minus minus becomes plus, and the minus 1 here goes to the other side, adding also, no? So it's going to be plus 1. So it's going to be this one, no? Because it becomes 10. So we are going for the third option, as we can see here. Now let's continue with this one, which talks about an isosceles triangle, no? So let's try to draw that. It's an isosceles right triangle. This means it's going to be looking something like this. The two equal sides are the cateads or the legs, no? And the one different is the hypotenuse. So we have here the right angle and it's at G. And then they gave us also this length, which is DU. DU is gonna be for sure the hypotenuse, no? Because it doesn't include the G. So yeah, we could say this side is gonna be, the hypotenuse is 10 square root of 2. And now we are looking for GU, which could be any of both other cateads, because both, for legs, no? Because both have the same length. So in order to find that, yeah, we know both sides have equal length and both these angles are also 45 degrees. So yeah, we could use here SOHCAHTOA, for example. The sum of the three angles has to be 180, this one is 90, and the other two are equal, so they have to be 45. So we know the hypotenuse, we could say G is there, no, already. U could be here, for example, and then D, it could be here, no, also. So now, yeah, let's just use SOHCAHTOA. We have the hypotenuse. We are looking for this side now. So we could be using, and we know this angle, no? So we could be using the cosinus again, no? So cosinus 45 equals GU divided by the hypotenuse, which is 10 square root of 2. And then solving for that, GU is gonna be multiplying both, no? So cosinus 45 and this that comes multiplying to the other side. Let's plug it into the calculator. Cosinus 45, always in degrees, otherwise it's gonna be wrong. It's a common mistake. And we can see that this equals just 10. So it will be number 3. For this next exercise, number 16, we see we have a triangle and we are given 2 sides and the angle in between. And we are asked the area of the whole triangle to the nearest square centimeter. So the angle of, or the area of a triangle is always 1/2 times the base times the height. But the issue would be here finding the height, and the base also is not given. And so there is another formula for the area of a triangle when you have 2 sides of the triangle and the angle in between them, which in this case is 55. And this formula is very similar to the previous one. It's 1/2 times A, or one of the sides, times B, times the sinus of the angle in between. So we can write already 55 here, no? A would be 8, and the other side is 9. So we can write also this into the calculator. So 0.5 times 8 times 9, and then sinus of 55. And well, we are getting the full number is 29.489, and now we have to round to the nearest square well, yeah, this is in square centimeters, no? And we have to round. So we are gonna be rounding down to 29. So this is gonna be the answer, the third one. So this next exercise is also speaking about or talking about a triangle, no? And we are asked the perimeter of it. So we can try to draw it first. What we see is that B and C both have the same y coordinate. That means that they both are at the same height, no? So they are in a straight line where both are at a height of -1. So yeah, B is -2 on the x, so it will be the left one, and C is here. And then A is above, no, because it's at a height of 3, and also has -2. So it's -2 on the x, no? So it's gonna be here on top of A. This simplifies a lot the exercise, because we can already, by doing a good drawing, no, and figuring this out, find some side lengths directly without using the distance formula between 2 points, which is much faster, no? So what can you see? A was here. A has a height of 3 and B is -1. Therefore, this side is gonna be 4 long. Then between B and C, we can see both are in the same horizontal line, and it goes from -2 to 6. So this is gonna be 8. And then we have to find well, this also forms a right angle, which simplifies even more the problem, because we can use Pythagoras formula, where we are looking for the hypotenuse, no? So we are gonna do H, we can call this side, or well, let's call it AC, is gonna be the square root of 4 squared plus 8 squared. And just by doing this into the calculator, what are we getting here? This is 4 square root of 5. And then the perimeter is the sum of the 3 side lengths, no? So it's gonna be 4 plus 8 plus 4 square root of 5, which is this one, the fourth option, no? You see? So very good. Here, it could be much longer if you use the distance formula, but doing a good drawing, you can do it much faster. So let's see this next one. Here we have a triangle, a right triangle, as we can see, and then inside of it we have 2 more right triangles. This is a popular exercise. They gave us HY, that is 25. So the lower side of the big triangle, this one, this is 25. And then the other they gave us is 20, YA. YA would be this one. This is 20. Okay. And now they are asking AL. AL, we can draw it here. It will be this here. So what could we do? The full thing here is Yeah. So out of the big triangle, we have two of the sides. We have the lower one and this other one. So we could find AH first. AH, it will be by doing AH equals a square root of 25, which is the hypotenuse square, minus 20 square. And this equals, if we do it on the calculator, what are we getting here? Just 15. Okay, so that one is 15. We know here 15. Now we could use the altitude formula, which states that the AL, which is the altitude, is going to be equal to this leg times this other leg, so 15 times 20, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 25. And this, if we write it in the calculator, 15 times 20 divided by 25, let's see, 15 times 20 is equal to 12, which is the second option. So we got it there, no? Let's go now with this next one, number 28. The ramp shown in the diagram below has an angle of elevation of 4.8 degrees. The ramp is built to a landing 0.6 meters above the ground. So this side of the right triangle, they state here also, is 0.6. Determine and state the length of the ramp to the nearest tenth of a meter. The ramp, as we can see, is the hypotenuse of the triangle, no? So it's gonna be again using SOHCAHTOA. What do we have? The angle here and the opposite from that angle, no? And we are looking for the hypotenuse. So it's gonna be using the sinus. Sinus of 4.8 degrees equals opposite, which is 0.6, divided by ramp, which we can call x also, no? Is the unknown variable. And now we are solving for x here. So yeah, it will be bringing the x to the left, multiplying first, no? X times the sinus of 4.8 equals 0.6. And then you divide by the sinus again to bring it, or to leave the x alone on that side, no? 0.6 divided by sinus of 4.8. And what are we getting here? We can do it on the calculator. Sinus of 4.8 is 7.17, what was that? Meters, no? And to the nearest tenth of a meter, we have to round it up, no? In this case. So it's gonna be 7.2 meters. That's the answer. Let's go now with this next one. We forgot last class. It's about volumes. So they tell us, no, we have an empty 75-liter fish tank with water. So it's cylindrical. So let's draw a cylinder first, no? Cylinder is something like this. Okay. And what do we know about this cylinder? The diameter is 20. Okay, 20 centimeters. So the bucket is, has a cylindrical shape with, this is 20. The diameter, we can write 20 centimeters. So the radius will be 10, no? Also, we can know already. Determine and state the maximum number of buckets of water filled to an exact height of 26 centimeters. So the height is gonna be this, no? Which is h, we can say is 26 centimeters. And let's use the radius, no? Because the formula for the volume of a cylinder is the area of the base. In this case, is a circle, so it's pi times the radius square times h, which is the height, no? So it's gonna be pi times, we can keep everything in centimeters, no? 10 squared times 26, and this is gonna be how many centimeters cubed? Pi, we can do it on the calculator, times 10 squared times 26, which is 8,000 168.14 centimeters cube. Okay, and then it was 75 liters. So we have to transform this into liters. So they tell us here, no, 1000 cubic centimeters is 1 liter. So as we can see, it's dividing by 1000, no? So it will be 8.168 liters, no? Each of the buckets. Yeah, three decimals should be enough. The maximum number of buckets of water filled, okay. So the maximum, now we have 75 liters, no? Divided by each of the buckets, which is so many liters. And what are we getting here? 75 divided by 8.168 is gonna be 9.18 buckets, no? But the maximum we can fill is gonna be rounding this down in this case. So it's gonna be 9. So 9 is gonna be the answer, no? Yeah, that's gonna be. So now let's see this last one, number 33. As a model in the diagram below, two cables are attached from a point of 12 feet. Okay, we have the measures on the diagram, no, on the drawing already. Determine and state to the nearest foot the distance from the base of the tree to the point where the longer cable is attached to the ground. So that will be here, no? So this distance, the lower one, the whole lower side, no? And we know also this is a right triangle. This was 50. This angle is 50. So and we know this is 3. So the only thing missing here will be this part, the pink one. The pink one. So for that, we can use this triangle here. That triangle we know is a right triangle, so it follows SOHCAHTOA, and we have the opposite, we have the angle there, and we are looking for the adjacent, would be this case, in this case, no, for that angle. So that brings the tangent, no? So the tangent of 50 degrees equals 12 divided by the adjacent. And in order to solve this, well, it's multiplying and then dividing, no? So we're gonna be getting adjacent equals 12, no? Divided by the tangent of 50, as we saw before, no? And we write this into the calculator, tangent of 50, and it's gonna be 10.06. And to the nearest foot, so this is in feet, and plus 3, no, we have here, so it's gonna be 10.06 plus 3, so it's 13.06 feet, and then we round it down, no, to just 13 feet. So that will be the first answer. And the other question they ask us here, nearest degree, the angle of elevation between the longer cable and the ground. So let's first draw that here. In the drawing, that will be here, no? That's the one we are looking for. Let's call it X. And for that, what can we know now? We know that the whole lower side, this here, is 13.06. And at the same time, we have this, the opposite. So we can use the tangent once again. So it's gonna be the tangent of X, no? Yeah, sorry. So the tangent of X is gonna be equal to opposite, which is 12, divided by adjacent, which is, we can write with all the decimals better, no? The other was just rounding for the other exercise, for the other section. And now we need to solve X here. So in order to solve X, we are gonna use the tangent to the minus 1, no? The arctangent, the inverse of the tangent. So it's gonna be the tangent to the minus 1 of 12 divided by 13.06. And what does this get us? It's gonna be 12, 13.6. We are getting 42.57 degrees. And now we can check in the drawing that it will make sense, no? Because it's smaller than the 50, which is more vertical, no, than the one there, because the distance is smaller. So that will be, no? So here we saw all of these exercises, and we will continue in another video.